Welcome to Retrobot, the YouTube channel where we feed a friendly space robot a diet of pure nostalgia. I'm Clay, and this is a short circuits video, shorter format videos to fit your retro viewing needs. Today, we are doing one that I have been waiting for a long time. We are doing dun 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 Masterpiece Arcee. That is right, MP-51. This is a big one. Although she's actually kind of little, but I mean, you know, big one in the sense that I've been waiting to do this video for a long time. I've been waiting for this figure for a long time. So let's jump right in. Here you can see the packaging. Now, I have had this out of the box because I kind of needed to practice the transform a lot. It's not as bad as some Masterpiece figures, but it's a lot. So here we go. There is the box. It is pretty straightforward, kind of done like the Hasbro Generation Selects packaging. You can see some Transformers Masterpiece MP-51 on the side, and then same thing except some legal gobbledygook. And then no matter if you tip it from the back, then no matter which way you tip it, you're going to get those upside down. So rotate it around the front and then tip it. But of course, there actually is box art, just not really on the outer box. If you open it up and take it out, there we go. There she is. It's a box within a box, and now we're cooking. We have some excellent product shots on the front. Still very bare bones, but kind of classy. You see the silver foil in the word masterpiece that is, dare I say, it's tasteful, with a black background, minimalist, but still very nice, very nice. And of course you can see the vehicle mode shown on the side with a very Gen 1 looking Transformers logo. That is that side, and then we can rotate it around here and we get some more nice silver foil. That looks really cool. I really like that. It's a nice detail. And then on this side we have kind of an unsettling, playful, bordering on sexy pose. It's not as bad as some that I've seen online, though, so I'll give them credit there. But it does show off the tremendous articulation of this figure, and the articulation really is really impressive. And then we've got a whole bunch of Japanese on the back here, and I have no idea what any of that says. And then we have some more Japanese and some more product shots over here, and yeah, there's a lot, just a lot. And of course we've got the little list of all the stuff that comes with this set, and some Japanese writing to go along with it. But there we go. You can see some of the features highlighted here. So yeah, that is Arcee's packaging, and it's nice. Now I will say that when I think back to the packaging for the original Masterpiece Optimus Prime, that was a display piece. And now we see the packaging is much more subdued. Pretty much just, okay, it's a Masterpiece edition, but they're not overstating it. And in some ways, I miss the spectacle of the original Masterpiece packaging that promised you something extraordinary. And that is the question of this video. I've been waiting for this figure a lot. Is she extraordinary? Is she worthy of the word masterpiece? Let's find out. So I'm just going to open the side here, and then we can slide out the tray. And I will set this aside. And then there you can see all of the different parts of her very nicely arranged and displayed in their plastic shell. We have 3 different faces, which I'm just gonna zoom in on these for a moment. Okay, so we have dull surprise. That looks like concerned dull surprise. And then that's, I guess, curious dull surprise. And then we have, this is one thing that I find really curious about this decision. They've got these 3 faces, and the expressions are only slightly different. If you're gonna have 4 different faces for a figure, and by the way, the other face on this figure is pretty much just like these, except the mouth is closed. She's got a sniper rifle. So at least one of these should be like one eye closed, like she's looking down a scope. And maybe one of these as kind of the snarky, maybe you should stay close to me, you know, the sassy Arcee giving it back to Hot Rod when he's being all egotistical or something. I mean, yes, I really appreciate that I've got 3 different facial expressions. I just wish that I had 3 additional expressions. These are, I'm not sure that I'd notice much of a difference if I swap these out. Which means that maybe I'll end up making my own faces. It could happen. I could kit bash one of these. I probably wouldn't be too upset if I didn't have dull surprise number 1 here. I'm just saying, there's options. I've got 4 faceplates for this figure, and they all look very similar. So I won't feel bad if I alter them. So anyway, getting back to the accessories, we have some effects pieces, some blast explosions. We do have, I'm just going to say, my wife's birthday is tomorrow. And if only I had seen this sniper rifle in time, because I know that deep down she wants a life-size version of this gun. That's fantastic. There is, I mean, a really nicely sculpted, really long cyber sniper rifle done in pink. That's pretty amazing. Also, we have an accessory here, which is the spinning weapon that she used in Transformers the movie to cause Wreck-Gar to flip over his handlebars. And then we've got a couple different pistols. We have a gray pistol, which looks very much like the one she used in Transformers the movie towards the end when she was inside Unicron and she's fighting against the tentacle creatures. And then we've got a pink one. And then we've got this, I think that this is a holster. Yeah, I think that that's a holster. So lots of different parts, but of course the main event is Arcee right here. So let's take her out. And of course we do have instructions. You probably want to hold on to these, I'm just saying. And we have a card. I guess I'll show you this stuff first, because once I start getting Arcee out of here, we're not going to look at anything else. So this is the card. Nice artwork on the card. Very nice. You know, kind of airbrushy, but decent. And then we have the back of the card, which actually has information about the character. I can't read any of it, but I appreciate that we have the character in robot mode, the vehicle mode. We've got spec text. We've got a write-up. I wish that they did this on the American versions. I would love to have cards like this written in English that have this kind of information on the back and some nice artwork in the front. That's really cool. Nonetheless, this is a cool card. We have the instructions right here. It's a bit of a roadmap. So, yeah, we've got... Now, I will say that you don't have to read the instructions to transform her. Okay? You can pull her out of the box and you can probably figure it out. What you need the instructions for is to transform her correctly. The backpack has a lot of very subtle maneuvers that if you don't get them right, it just doesn't quite go together the way that it's supposed to. So yeah, you probably want to take a look at these, at least on your second transforming, maybe not the first. But yeah, we've got instructions. And I'm not going to do my thing where I throw it and it makes a glass crashing noise, because I'm trying to encourage you to be responsible and save these so that you don't break your toy. Okay, I transformed her the first time without the instructions. But I didn't force anything. I refer to instructions when I'm afraid of breaking something. Or if I want to make the backpack fit together. There's that too. So anyway, we've got our instructions, we've got our card. I'm just going to put those back in the pouch just like that. And there we go, and I will set those aside. So now, let's get to the main event. We are going to take Arcee out of her plastic prison. And we will just lift the top off. And these were taped down to protect her, but I took that off when I took her out before. And there we have Arcee in her vehicle mode. And I'm just gonna, oh, see, everything wants to pop out. So I'm just gonna close this and set that off to the side here. And now let's just take a look at the vehicle mode right here. So this is Arcee in a very, very accurate Gen 1 inspired vehicle mode. She looks like she did in the movie. And this is a really nice looking car mode. I will say that the detail that they've put into this is really nicely. I love the door handles. I love that it has a molded interior and you can see the instrument panel and the steering wheel and the radio and everything. You can see the seats. Since she's a convertible, you oftentimes don't get to see this kind of stuff in Transformers. Now, one thing that has bothered me about Arcee's vehicle mode from the beginning is that she is always interpreted with these massively wide doors. And then they sort of cram the seats in. And realistically, if this were the size of the passenger compartment, this car would take up a lane and a half on the road. Okay, there's just, doors aren't that fat. And I realize it's a Cybertronian vehicle, but it's got human seats, and I feel like they could have made this a little bit thinner and spaced this out a little bit more so that she has a little bit more realistic proportions in terms of a car. That being said, you don't have to fit figures in her, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Or the other thing that they could have done is, if they're going to have this body style where it's really, really wide and then there's kind of a narrow passenger compartment, have a single seat. Just say, hey, you know what? This is a race car, and it seats a driver and nothing else. And I know that that's not what it was in the Gen 1 cartoon, but they never actually showed anybody driving her in the Gen 1 cartoon anyway. So, yeah, except for when she was a headmaster and had Daniel in there, and a lot of the headmasters were single-passenger compartment vehicles because they had exosuits on. They couldn't fit 2 people in there. They'd kill them. So, that is the car mode. If you rotate around, you can see that she's got tail lights, and I love what they did with the tail lights. They look really good. Now, I could see if they had decided to put maybe a yellow section in here and a white section in so that they would be a little bit more realistic for an Earth vehicle. I realize, again, she's a Cybertronian vehicle. She doesn't necessarily have to have the same taillights as an Earth vehicle. But if they had, I feel like it would have improved the look of the thing and just made it a little bit more realistic. They've got molded in tailpipes, but again, they're not colored any differently. If they had been done in silver, then that would have also helped. You've got the gray wheels, which look good. They're a little bit skinny. They are not. They're not super realistic in terms of being the thickness of regular car tires, but again, not an Earth car, so I guess I have to shut up about it. She's got, a very straightforward cartoon RC front. I kind of wish that they had done something here. I don't know what, because of course they're trying to capture what we saw in the cartoon. And there is a thin line between making something look like it was in a cartoon and trying to take what was in the cartoon and make it look realistic. And so they're kind of walking a line here, and I get it. Nonetheless, I feel like maybe a little bit of chrome here in the front by the vent, or some accent details here, so that the Masterpiece version has some detail that maybe we never saw in the cartoon, but we can imagine that if she were real, that it were there. And I think that that's what's missing from this car mode, is it looks really good. Don't get me wrong, it really does look good, and I like it, but it doesn't look like a real car. It does look like a toy. The colors and some of the places where the detail is just not there or isn't painted in, it just keeps it from looking like if this were full size, it would be a real thing. So that is her vehicle mode. Nonetheless, it is a good vehicle mode. I'm not going to say that there's anything overtly wrong with it, but I do see opportunities where they could have made this a little bit better. Just subtle improvements that would have taken it the rest of the way. So at this point, before I guess we could start jumping into the transform, but it would not be a complete review if we didn't do some things like having the little thing, which I haven't actually plugged this in yet, so I know that it goes somewhere. Oh, there it is. There it is. This is where it goes. There. Yeah. So now she can flip over Wreck-Gar. Yes, that is pretty important. Now, I don't have Wreck-Gar here, but if I could just maybe choose one other Transformer, maybe somebody that, like Wreck-Gar, they found along the way and turned up being an ally, maybe she could wreck somebody else. Oh, look, it's Gen 1 Wheelie, so she could be driving next to Gen 1 Wheelie and be like, oh no! She caught my tire. Now I'm expired. I know, and I'm sorry. Shut up, Wheelie. Get out of here. So we've got that little thing. I think that we can take the other guns, and they have tabs on them that we can probably plug in places. Probably more for the robot mode, but let's see if there's anything that we can do here. Yeah, that doesn't really work. So that one doesn't go. I would love it if it kind of fit on the side there. Now, we do have the holster here for the gun. If you want to plug the holster into the side, you can. And I wonder if it fits. Yeah, it seems to fit that gun. So you can do that. I'm not sure why you want to, but you could. And we got the sniper rifle, and we can do that. And that's actually pretty cool. Now she's dropped her pistol. There, that goes there. And I don't know if there's a place for this one. It seems like there should be, but I'm not 100%. I don't see an obvious place for the pistol, but she has a pistol. So there we go. And let's just close that up before I knock that over and cause all sorts of terrible things to happen. So yeah, you can accessorize her, and that's actually pretty cool. She looks badass. I like that. And I haven't actually played with the weapons at all, really. I focused on trying to figure out how to transform her and not look like a complete idiot when I did it. And then I didn't even pay attention to how the other things attached. But that is how they attach. So let's take these things off and set them aside. And I'm putting them back in the little blister because I'm pretty confident in my ability to lose these parts if I'm not careful. So there's the vehicle mode. You've seen how to accessorize. This is where we need to do the thing. And I'll tell you what, I would love to show you on the side camera all the little moves that need to be done, but honestly, she's a bit of a challenge, and I don't want to have to stoop for that long. So here we go. We're doing this. We are going to transform Arcee. So there are multiple ways that you can start. I am going to start by pulling on these back tail lights. They actually pull out just a little bit, and then you pull them sideways to disengage them from this back bumper piece. And at the same time, it probably the best place to start really is to disengage the doors from the front fenders. So there you go. That helps a lot. That kind of frees everything up. And now you can pull the fenders sideways. And now at this point, those will pop out. And then the doors are on, the big, fat, thick doors are on a double hinge here. So they're going to fold over like that and then flip down. And then I'm just going to turn it to the side like that. I'll show you again. So we're going to fold this over and then flip it down that way and then pivot it to the side, just like that. Kind of makes her look like she's got wings. And then we can take these side fenders just like this. And at this point, there's these little panels underneath the headlights. Make sure you have fingernails. You will need them. Don't bite them all off like I do most of the time. And then you're going to pull those up. Be gentle. These things just feel delicate to me. So we are going to get a thumb under there, and we're going to pop those up. And now we can release the legs. Now, here's the thing about Arcee. notice that there's a lot of robot under here. So she is a bit of a shell former, as most RC toys are. But we're going to pull the legs out like that. And now we can... So there's another double hinge here. You see that? How it goes just like that? We're going to pull that up, and then we're going to flip the... Actually, wait, we might not want to do that yet. We're going to take the fenders. The fenders are also on a double hinge. And this is where we want to raise them up just like this. Now, once you have cleared the back bumper with the tail lights, we can fold this back bumper plate down and just fold it in like this. And now we can take both fenders and just push them up over the back trunk of the car. And now we can take these tail lights, and they are on a little bit of a slide. So they're going to slide in towards the middle and then fold in. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to slide it in towards the middle. So there we go. And then it folds in just like that. And now we've got these door panels. We can pull those like that. And so we've got this bottom half of car pretty much folded up. The last thing to do with that is to fold the tires in, and they need to tuck underneath this bottom panel here. And so the tires go in, the fenders fold in. Let's see here. Yes. And there's a lot of finessing that goes into this to get everything just right. Now, these panels here, so you remember those door pieces? Well, they are on pink panels that are on another pair of double hinges. So we're going to lift those up, and we're just going to move them back like that. And so that is all the junk in the trunk right there. So we can now pull the arms out, and you see how the shoulders are hinged. So they can just come out like this. They do have a little swivel here, but there's not a whole lot that you have to do with that. Now, the hood has some interesting maneuvers that get this windshield out of the way, and I'm going to show you those now. So what we need to do is you pull the front out with the chest and the head, and you're just going to pull those forward and out of the way. You're going to pull the hood up, and if you want, you can fold in the front wheels. They're just going to collapse underneath the fenders, just like that. And then this is where things get a little bit janky. So the windshield folds down and it pivots sideways. You see what I did there? And then you need to tuck it through. So I'm going to try and make this so that you can see it. Try and get her head out of the way. So here's the windshield right here. I know the head keeps getting in the way. And we need to turn it sideways and then just tuck it through and pivot it. And then when we get it underneath here, we rotate it around. It has to clear all of this apparatus, and then it presses right into the hood. And I have to say, that is geometrically brilliant. The way that they made that fit right up in there is fantastic. It's awkward. I don't like doing it because it's very thin pieces of plastic, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to break it, but it fits beautifully. Just beautifully. That is a certain kind of brilliance right there. And I don't know who the designers are that engineer these things, but they are smarter than I, and I tip my hat to them. So yeah. So at this point, we're getting close. We need to get the shoulders into a more natural position. Now we take the whole head, and you see how pretty much her, her collarbone area right here just kind of presses down and mates with her shoulders. And it doesn't really click in until you lock the chest in. So you're going to press the chest in like that. And then if you want to, at this point, you can straighten out the feet and point the toes and give her robot feet. And you can also take the legs, and they are on, so when they pivot around the hips like this, notice how they swing away from the body. You see that? So you're going to put the tops of the thighs in and then rotate the legs down like this. And if you don't do it in that order, then the hips are going to get in the way when you try to move the legs down. So you see that the robot itself is fully formed at this point. We just have to figure out what to do with the back kibble. And this is where they did some impressive magic. It's just kind of magic, because there are these little white side panels. So in the trunk area, there's these little white side panels. And see, there's one. They're little triangles. I'm going to try and get my finger out of the way. So it's right there. That presses in. Just like that and like that. Okay, both of those need to be squeezed in. Also, the seats have to fold back. And that's something that I probably should have done before, but I'm doing it now. So you have the seats, and it's all one piece. So you fold them back out of the way, and then you make sure that these little triangle pieces are pushed in towards the sides. And now this back trunk portion and the front hood portion need to go together. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the back fenders are spread apart enough to clear this linkage apparatus here. We're going to slide that around, and then this whole thing is just going to tuck up underneath the front hood assembly. And if you do everything correctly, a couple of things are going to happen. For one thing, and I'll move the arms out of the way so that you can see, these little the exhaust pipes on the back bumper, you see those right there, and up against her back, they should be right up against her back, because there's a couple little slots there that they sort of plug into. I never get them to completely plug in. It's close, but I never quite get it to fully engage there. But it is pretty close. And then you have the body that will pop itself apart because it does, and so you put that back together and snap the chest in place. And so now we can put her head forward, and now this little panel, it snaps hard. It's on a pivot, and it kind of, for me, it wanted to come out very often, but you can very carefully, you see how it comes out there, and there's a catch there, but it's a pretty aggressive catch. And so now we have the entire car body that is collapsed down and fits into her backpack, and we can finish it off by closing those little panels that are underneath the headlights. And that gives Arcee her completed robot mode. And there she is. Let's show her on the side camera. That's her. We've got a tight pivot at the thigh here that allows you to move the legs around. We've got finger articulation. She's got, she can move her 3 fingers together, and then she has her index finger, so no rude gestures. And then we've got really, really amazing articulation. She is just fantastically posable. And I think that that's probably one of the things that really makes this such an impressive figure, because she looks great in robot mode. She really does. She just looks great. She is, the colors are great, the details are great, the articulation is just fantastic. The robot mode, you look at the shapes of the legs and the details on the legs, and then the details that they put into the body, and you look into the details that they put onto the shoulders. Everything here just really does look fantastic. I have one minor criticism. It seems like the chest here is really, really low. Like she's got this sternum section here, and then she's sort of got a shelf on the chest. I have seen pictures online where people sculpted a new chest that is that comes up a little bit higher and then just goes down at an angle, and I have to say that does look better. It's fine. It's not a big deal, but it does kind of remind me of the nurse from High Anxiety. Does anybody even remember that movie? Mel Brooks, High Anxiety, nurse. She had like triangle chest. No, I'm the only one. Okay, just checking. So here we have Arcee, and she is expressive. She has she does have the ability to change her faces, and not just change faces, but she also has a built-in visor so that she can do the Cup and Hot Rod are still outside the city. And now what I've found is that now maybe it's just this faceplate, but the head doesn't seem to want to close when I've got the visor there. It kind of wants to pop up. Don't know why that is. So I guess I could try it with a different face. Let's do it. Let's do that. Let's just find out. We're going to pop a face out, and here you can see. So this is just a very, very well sculpted Arcee face. The mouth is closed. I love the details around the eyes. The fact that she's got that black over top of the eyes really makes them pop. There's not a whole lot of detail in the face, but there doesn't have to be. Her face is feminine and smooth, and it's really, really nicely done. So if they're gonna, at least if I'm gonna have 4 different Arcee faces, they're at least they're very nicely sculpted. And so that is the dull surprise face. She's looking concerned. So we'll take this face out. I'll show you the other face. Let's see. That is oh, really? That's what I'm going to call that. This is the oh, really face. And then this is the oh, really? So this is the other oh, really face. Except it's a different tone. It's a very different tone of the oh, really. but nonetheless, it's also, oh, really? So we'll do that. Now, here's something interesting. If you notice, they've got translucent blue plastic in here, but the eyeballs are painted. Now, I think that the translucent blue, like this isn't, if you look, the area above the eyes is not actually black as I thought it was when it was inside the face. It's, that is just unpainted. It's an interesting detail, but it works very well. So we're going to try the dull surprise face. Everything's tiny. It's so tiny. I have big old man fingers. Let's see. Almost. You know, this is just stupid. I think I got it. I think I got it. Wait, there. Oh, ha ha. There it is. All right. Huh. There's two little slots. Like, there's two sets of grooves in there. Why would they do that? Why does it need two sets of grooves? So, there. Okay, so. Maybe the other face was in the wrong set of grooves. Because you see how the inside... Look, there's two sets of grooves. And I'm wondering if the other face... When they put it in, they did the same thing that I just did and had half of the face in the wrong set of grooves. So, there we go. Yeah, it works now. I think that the face was in the wrong set of grooves. We have learned something. It is very easy to get the face. You see how the little tabs are supposed to go in the backmost slots. But there's a second set of slots here, and I'm sure that's just because of the way it's molded. But boy, that it is so easy to get it into the wrong slot, and I think that mine was assembled wrong at the factory, because I haven't changed the faces. So, yeah, there she is. That actually looks very cool. I like that. Now, granted, she has dull surprise, but nonetheless. So, yeah, and she can be like... Oh, this is the worst review I have ever seen. Oh, I am so embarrassed. So, yeah, she does have excellent articulation, and I love how expressive you can get with the hands and with the arms and with the whole thing. So, that is a pretty impressive thing. Let's go ahead and put the little visors back. And there we go. Of course, she can pivot at the waist back and forth. She's got the swivel at the thighs. And the joints are nice and tight. You know, I like that she holds a pose. Now, one thing that I've noticed is she's got tiny feet. And it is really hard to get her to stand up because her feet are so tiny. But you can do it. Obviously, I'm doing it. But it is pretty tricky. Of course, you can get her into all sorts of interesting positions, and you know, you can have her like sitting on the thing and being like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" And you know, put her hands like that and be like, "Whoa, it's great to see everybody. Hey, I'm over here. Let's go get some chips." I think that's what she wants. She wants some chips. Maybe she won't have as much dull surprise if she has some chips. So there she is. You know, even the fact that you can point the toe, you know, it's just a very, very expressive figure. And I think that that's what really makes this a masterpiece, is that she transforms. She looks like her Gen 1 vehicle mode, you know, when she's in her vehicle mode. But when you get her into the robot mode, you can do anything with her. and you can get her into whatever different positions. I mean, she's great for Instagram. You can have her dissing Autobots and talking smack on Galvatron or Hot Rod or Springer and being like, hey, Hot Rod, I'm hanging with Springer now because, you know, you got the Matrix and then you got kind of lame. So, you know, she's a fun figure, and she's obviously, we've had some bad versions of Gen 1 Arcee, and there have been a lot of versions of Arcee. Transformers Prime had a very distinctive Arcee, but it wasn't this character. It was its own character. And there are a lot of good versions of that Arcee. But it seems like when they've tried to recreate the Arcee from the 1986 Transformers the movie, what we have gotten over and over again, Thrilling 30, recently we got Earthrise Arcee, which is so much of a shell former that when I got this upgrade kit that made her look a little bit more Gen 1-tastic, you take off the car and it's the whole car. It's I mean, there are no parts of this missing that go on here. There are no parts of Arcee that make up this vehicle form. It's completely, there's the robot, and she just folds up and hides inside a shell of a car. And we see that a lot with Arcee, where many versions of her where they've tried to do a car form will have the robot just sort of fold up and then have a shell of a car around her. And I have to say that I was hoping when I got the Masterpiece version that they would have integrated more of the robot into the car. I was looking forward to seeing how they addressed the design problems of trying to get her female robot form to turn into more of a car shape, and unfortunately we got another shell former. It's an exquisitely done shell former. She really does. She looks fantastic. The kung fu that is done with the car to make it into this backpack is just mind-boggling. So I can't take a lot away from the engineers for figuring this out, because that's impressive. But I wanted to see more of Arcee turn into car. And I did not get that. So, you know, is she my favorite version of Arcee? Probably. I would say that she is. I mean, this is awesome. Is she everything that I hoped an Arcee toy could be? Not quite. Not quite. And I will probably kit bash this one and try and integrate some car parts into the rest of the form. But it's going to be tough to really get my ideal out of this one, because the robot is so tiny that in order to make it turn into a car with parts of this, it would be a very, very tiny car. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I feel like obviously for a Masterpiece, they want to capture the cartoon likeness as closely as they can. And so for Arcee, that means she looks like Princess Leia in a bikini, and she's wearing a big backpack. Because the original figure, I mean, let's face it, this is what was animated. It was a female form with some back kibble. And every subsequent designer, with the exception of Animated, Animated did it differently, but every other designer who's tried to do a Gen 1 Arcee has taken that to mean that there can't be any car on the rest of her body. It has to all be on her back. And I want to see something else. We have seen from a lot of the characters that were done, Moonracer and the many repaints of that mold and retools of that mold, like Chromia and Greenlight and Lancer and Nova Storm. The thing that I like about that mold is that it integrates the female robot form into the vehicle form. It's not just a female robot that kind of hides inside a car. So that is my criticism of Masterpiece Arcee. Now, that being said, Masterpiece Arcee really is a masterpiece. She is. And I am really looking forward to taking pictures of her with Weird Al Yankovic action figure and having her look like she's just disgusted with how dumb I am. It's sort of the same response that I get from my cats. They kind of give me that same look. But she's got excellent playworthiness. Her transform is involved, but it's not prohibitively so. It is complicated enough to do some impressive stuff back here, but it's not so complicated that you don't want to take her off the shelf and convert her to her vehicle form and back in a single sitting. Whereas Masterpiece Megatron, oh my gosh. That's an evening investment right there. So, yeah, Masterpiece Arcee. Really good. She's like a 9. I'll even give her a 9.5. But if they had managed to not make her just a complete shell former, she would have been a 10. And that's it. I hope that you've enjoyed this review of Masterpiece Arcee. So, what do you think about this version of Arcee? Are there things that you would have done differently, or do you think that I'm being picky and I should just shut up? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. Also, if you like our content, please subscribe and click the notification bell. That way you get advised when we're doing Short Circuits videos and live stream events. And speaking of live stream events, we do live streams pretty much every Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's US, and if you are from elsewhere in the world, Google will tell you the right time. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm Clay, telling you to keep it Retrobot. Retrobot. That is what I'm telling you. Retrobot. I got a bot right here, and it is retro. It is Retrobot.